jam-packed evening in the capital as scores of Belgians in their different fashions gathered to thrill their visiting Belgian friends from Ostend, a show of appreciation to the support the city is about to receive from their acquaintances. The enticing evening was born out of the fruitful partnership between the two cities and credited with a good record of success since it came into fruition over a decade ago. Since then, what is seen as a mutually beneficial cooperation continues to grow from strength to strength over the years, setting the stage for the launch of a crucial rehabilitation project intended to give a facelift to the capital city. The multi-million-dollar project soon to be launched is part of the City Link and will be co-financed by both parties. The project includes the rehabilitation of the city's ice plant, digitizing the museum to an ultra-modern one, and the construction of over 500 energy-saving street light poles for the whole of Banjul. The Lord Mayor of Banjul, Ablai Ba, on a cheerful mood, expressed delight at the project set to benefit thousands in Banjul. He envisaged that the rehabilitation will give the island city a facelift, empower youth, as well as reduce council's financial burden.
A magnitude of 5 tons of ice cubes is a huge amount. And I'm quite sure that if we have a proper management of this ice plant, it can develop a lot and it can empower youth.
Mayor Ba further shed light on the ice plant in particular as part of the project and is anticipated to house a 5-ton ice cube machine for the preservation of fish. When revitalized, he believes the cold store will engage women in the fisheries sector, thereby serving as a major source of income for the council.
To reform the ice plant, although the ice plant was not belongs to us, it was supervised by the Minister of Fisheries. When I raised about this issue in Ostend, they were very willing to support because there were genuine reasons that can motivate the people of Ostend to purchase a machine with the magnitude of $1.5 million.
The project is part of the cooperative agreement signed between BCC and Ostend under the City Link. Peter Van Slambroek, who headed the Belgian delegation, underlined the project's importance to the enhancement of food security in the capital.
We are going to help to rehabilitate the ice plant, which was not in use, but which is quite interesting for food security and fishing activities here in Banjul. The museum as well was highlighted, that we would like to play a role there.
Mr. Van Slambroek, who fell in love with the rich culture of the capital city, also expressed his desire to promote Gambian culture back home in Belgium.
The Gambia has a very rich culture, one of the richest here in West Africa. If you even take a look in the whole of Africa, you have a very wide variety, different ethnic groups, different nationalities. Only here in Banjul you see a wide variety of expression of all these different people which live together in harmony. So it's certainly something that can convince people to come here.
Babkar Nyang, the National Assembly member for Banjul South, also welcomed the initiative and exuded confidence that the scheme, when completed, will address some of the constraints the capital city is facing.
The ice plant, as the lawyer highlighted, is going to be another plus because our constraints will be resolved.
Visiting Belgians were treated to a cultural performance by the city dwellers in appreciation of a multi-million-dollar development that could herald a raft of benefits for the City of Light. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
We'll be back with news from outside the Gambia after this break. Welcome back. The conflicts in South Sudan and Central African Republic top the agenda as the African Union opened its 22nd summit in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa. And a renowned anti-slavery activist in Mauritania is standing as an independent candidate in the country's presidential ballot slated for July this year. We have more on those and other stories in this African News Roundup by CFI.
opened its 22nd summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia Thursday with the Central African Republic and the South Sudan conflicts at the top of the agenda. The two-day meeting is chaired by Mauritania's President Mohamed Ould Abdelaziz, who took over the AU presidency from the Ethiopian Prime Minister. Abdelaziz says he will fight to see Africa take its proper place in the world.
Particularly the senseless violence that has taken a heavy toll.
Platinum miners in South Africa are still on strike. Thursday morning, they gathered in Marikana, where they heckled their union representatives as they tried to present the employer's offer. The three companies shut down by the strike proposed a three-year plan which includes wage hikes from 7.5% to 9% the first year. The 80,000 miners want a minimum wage of $1,150 a month, twice the present entry-level pay. Kenya's president introduced 7 lieutenants of Riek Machar, the leader of the South Sudanese rebellion and a former vice president. These leaders were handed over to Kenya after the South Sudan president freed them. They were arrested in mid-December when the conflict began between the government and forces loyal to Riek Machar. Biram Uldan Ould Abid says he will run for president of Mauritania in the July ballot. Ould Abid is renowned for his fight against slavery in Mauritania. He won last year's UN Prize for Human Rights and sees himself as the voice of the voiceless. He is married with 5 children and a descendant of slaves himself. He will run as an independent.
A Rwandan national accused of playing a part in the 1994 genocide is subject of the heated legal wrangling in France. The Kigali government is calling for the extradition of Claude. His lawyer and the man himself are adamant that he won't be granted a fair trial at home. CFI has those details.
For the extradition of Claude Muayimana, a Rwandan living in France. Kigali alleges that he took part in the 1994 genocide. Muayimana denies any involvement and fears that if he were tried in Rwanda, the outcome would be dictated by President Kagame.
Over there it's Kagame who decides everything. Kagame hands out justice. If Kagame wants to get rid of someone, that person is eliminated or imprisoned for life. There's no justice there.
French magistrates have been at loggerheads over his case. In 2012, an appeals court in Rouen gave the green light for Muayimana's extradition. That was overturned by a court of cassation. Muayimana's lawyer insists his client cannot return to Kigali.
Everyone who follows matters of justice know that in Rwanda, despite what is said, there is no guarantee of a free trial. The regime has even chased into neighboring countries a number of people who could testify in various cases.
But this man hopes for Muayimana's extradition. He has filed a suit against some 20 Rwandans living in France.
The Court of Cassation has ruled 15 times against extradition. We hope that this court will change this jurisprudence and that it will agree to extradite genocide suspects to Rwanda, because we believe it is preferable that they be tried on the scene of the crime.
The Court of Cassation will rule on the extradition of Muayimana and 3 other Rwandans on February 24th. A French court has never yet given the go-ahead for extradition because it considers that Rwanda's legal system is limited in its capacity to punish the crime of genocide.
Welcome back. And before we take leave of you, a quick reminder of the day's top stories. Vice President Jai Sidi and the Energy Minister of the United Arab Emirates have held talks on renewable energy on the fringes of the just-ended Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. The conflicts in South Sudan and Central African Republic are taking center stage as the African Union opened its 22nd summit in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa. And abused workers at the Sochi Olympic sites in Russia have been speaking about appalling conditions barely a fortnight before the Black Sea Resort hosts the multi-million-dollar Winter Olympics. That was all in this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay with us. I'm Sylvia Grace George. Good afternoon.